Hello everyone and welcome back to Prestige Reef. Today I have a confession to make. I'm addicted to fish keeping. Now although this might seem like a ridiculous concept and this video is meant to be light-hearted, it does actually have a serious message behind it. Surprisingly, that message is not about addiction. Addictions can come in the form of anything we find pleasurable, whether it's drugs, gambling, making balloon animals, sexual desires, or the feeling I get when you subscribe to the channel and click that like button. Generally speaking though, they all show very similar symptoms, and the more I started to research this topic, the more I started to realise our love of fish keeping does have some very similar traits to one of the addictions I just mentioned. The first thing we should probably establish is I think too much about literally everything, not just fish but all aspects of my life. Maybe I need a new hobby, or a girlfriend. Anyway, now that we've established I like to think and I'm not just crazy, let me take you back to the beginning with regards to why I started to think about this concept. Those of you that watched my last two videos will remember that I was in Las Vegas for MACNA 2018. While in Vegas, I had the pleasure of gambling in some of their casinos. Before we continue with this video, I just remembered something I forgot to include in my MACNA video last week. I have a little public service announcement to the man at the urinal that recognised me and tried to shake my hand. Not cool, man. Not cool. Anyway, where were we? I'm not a big gambler. I probably had around 10 bets that weekend and somehow managed to lose every single one. Statistically speaking, if you remove the casino's edge and give yourself the unbelievable odds of 50-50 chance of winning, the probability of this happening is just 0.1%, quite possibly making me the unluckiest man in Vegas that weekend. Not in terms of financial loss, because I watched someone lose $36,000, but in terms of luck. Now remember this man that lost the money, who I will refer to later in this video, so let's call him the high roller, who was betting $1,000 at a time. On the table next to him was someone we will call the low roller, who was betting just $5 at a time. Each man wanted to win equally, yet the amounts they were spending were vastly different. This I assume is because each person was betting the amount which made the game exciting to them. The high roller, we can assume, had plenty of money, therefore just didn't get the same buzz as the low roller from a $5 bet. I know what you're thinking, where is he going with this? Bear with me. Now I believe there are two reasons that fish tanks can be addictive. Firstly, the buzz we get from playing God by creating our own little world, which I'll cover in a later video, but also, every single livestock purchase we make is a gamble, and quite often that purchase has cost us far more than any of us would be willing to bet in a casino. Don't get me wrong, there are things we can do to reduce our chances of loss, but even some of the experts experience losses from time to time. I'm not just talking about deaths either. Every new edition risks introducing unwanted pests or disease. Anyone who doesn't have a battery backup is gambling with a power failure, and don't even get me started on the people that never test their water. Even if you are absolutely the best actress ever, who does everything by the book and has all possible redundancy measures in place, Murphy's Law states that if you give it enough time, anything that can go wrong will. So the chances are that that guy will have a volcano sprout up next to his house. I'm not exempt from this either. I have a boxfish and real angel in a mixed reef tank, fully in the knowledge that one day one or both may go rogue and chow down on some of my expensive corals. The trend in the hobby is we generally progress from easier species such as clownfish and soft corals to something more difficult like copper bands and SPS corals. We start off as low rollers with cheaper, easier livestock, which eventually become mundane as we're constantly seeking that next purchase which gives us the original buzz. How many times have you heard someone say, you paid that much for something which could die at any moment? I, for example, would love to have a black tang, but why? They are almost identical in every way to other zebrasoma tangs, and are one of the least attractive in terms of coloration. What separates them from the rest though is the cost, as they are the second highest zebrasoma to purchase. That price tag puts them in the realms of the high rollers. We of course have to take into consideration their desirability due to rarity, bragging rights and prestige as well. But I think the gamble we take in purchasing something so expensive will give the person the buzz they no longer get from cheaper species. Now before we start thinking this concept is just stupid and how can anyone be addicted to fish keeping, most addictions manifest themselves in the same 7 symptoms. Number 1, a compulsion or strong desire to repeat a certain behaviour. Ever feel down or annoyed when you can't go to the fish shop? Number 2, you prefer to engage in this behaviour than spend time with your friends or family. That's a big tick there for me right there. Number 3, you start to plan your life around the behaviour. Have you ever been on holiday and can't wait to get back to your tank? Number 4, the person believes they can stop at any time but just has no desire to do so. I don't even pretend that I can stop at any time. Number 5, you have a desire to continue the behaviour to an increasingly advanced level. I'm not even joking, at one point I had 5 fish tanks, and doesn't everyone dream of having a bigger tank? Number 6, you spend time covering up your activities, such as lying about your new purchase or how much you spent on it. And finally, number 7, more often than not, the person affected either doesn't know or refuses to accept they have an addiction, and this is the one we should all be thinking about. Now, as I said, this video is meant to be reasonably light-hearted, but the reality is we really do gamble every day with the lives of our livestock. Although often portrayed as not hardy and weak, these fish have been honed by millennia of natural selection in a harsh and unforgiving environment, only to be netted by a diver, transported halfway around the world in just enough water to swim in, exposed to various pathogens in multiple dealers' tanks, before finally being purchased by us. These aren't weak individuals. These are the survivors. Please give them the respect they deserve, stop gambling, and provide them with everything they need to thrive in an unfamiliar and alien environment. I hope you enjoyed watching my video. Please feel free to comment below if you're experiencing any of these symptoms. I may be able to advise where you can get help. Have a good week, and I'll see you next time. As always, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that supports me on Patreon. Never underestimate the value of what you do with regards to keeping this channel going. You've all been brilliant. Thank you.